Hey there, creepy peeps. My name is Nightmare Maven, and I love talking about horror movies. I just love horror movies. If you're new here, hi, hello, welcome. So glad you found my channel. Hopefully you stick around for a while. If you don't, that's okay. For those of you that are returning, welcome back. So I am making this video in light of a Kickstarter campaign that just launched on Wednesday for the upcoming documentary Mental Health and Horror. My friend Xena, aka Real Queen of Horror, is a producer on the project, and she reached out and asked if I wanted to talk about the documentary. And honestly, Xena could ask me to bathe in a pool of spiders and I'd probably say yes, because she's just that nice. In all seriousness though, I think the documentary is a great idea and I'm really excited to see it get made. So in honor of the documentary and their Kickstarter campaign, I wanted to share with you some of my favorite comfort horror movies and talk a little bit about how horror has helped me mental health wise. I will talk more about the documentary and the Kickstarter campaign at the end of the video. There is a near constant discussion about the effect that violent media has on young people in particular. Usually tend to be the focus of this. And there's this pervasive idea that like horror movies and violent movies, TV shows, video games make the people that consume them just as violent. And there's hardly no discussion outside of the horror community about the catharsis that the horror genre brings to a lot of people for so many different reasons. The horror genre is known for, tackling these tough topics frequently and providing a, safe environment for us to kind of explore those fears or anxieties. Popular movie monsters have been used as metaphors for mental illness, like throughout film history. For example, vampires symbolizing addiction, demons and ghosts symbolizing anything from depression and grief to anxiety and paranoia. Granted, there are quite a few horror movies that have not handled the topic of mental illness particularly well. I could probably make a whole entire video on those movies. But fans have criticized the representation of the more culturally misunderstood topics like schizophrenia, dissociative identity disorder, bipolar disorder, OCD, just to name a few. But if we can pull one positive from those movies, it's that they open the discussion to learn the facts about those mental illnesses and, of course, learn why proper representation is important in all forms of media. I am not diagnosed with any mental illness. I, of course, like I think everybody, experience anxiety and stress. And as I'm sure a lot of you know if you've been around the channel for a little bit, my mom recently passed away from cancer this past December, so I've been dealing with grief. And this video may get a little like sappy, a little maybe I'll be reaching a little bit with some of these movies, but this is the first time I've actually like put into words like why I find these movies so comforting. Sitting down to like write out my thoughts about these was super interesting. So I have certain groups of movies that I turn to depending on the time of year, what I am looking for in terms of comfort from these movies. So for example, during the holiday season, as somebody who works in retail and in a mall, no less, holiday horror movies are my absolute favorite thing after a long stressful day at work, being yelled at by entitled customers. Krampus, Silent Night, Deadly Night, and P2 are some of like the top ones that I turn to. I probably watch those 3 or 4 times each over the course of a holiday season every year. And kind of in a similar way, the rest of the year, not during the holiday season, I have a list of horror movies that I frequently turn to when I'm feeling anxious or stressed or down, and in no particular order, we'll go ahead and just start with As Above, So Below. I'm still not 100% sure why I find this movie so comforting. If I had to guess, I would imagine it's probably something along the lines of like, well, my day was horrible, but it could be a lot worse. The ending, of course, is also like super cathartic given that a lot of the cast ends up surviving, ends up making it out of the catacombs. I guess it kind of maybe makes me remember that like through all like the shitty situations in my life where I felt like oh my God, this could not get any worse. How am I going to, you know, recover from this? I always do in the end. Cabin in the Woods is another one I really, really like after a bad day. And maybe this sounds weird, but during like really bad days or like a bad week, a bad month, whatever, I like to imagine that all of the shitty situations that I experienced were being orchestrated by two old white dudes in an underground compound somewhere. Why does this bring me comfort? I know for sure it helps me compartmentalize the things that bring me stress and anxiety that are outside of my control. So by identifying the things that are outside of my control in any given situation, I can then figure out some of the things that are within my power to change. And maybe on a more superficial level, sometimes I just feel like so stressed and angry that I want to release a bunch of ancient gods upon the world. One day. I kind of feel a very similar way about the next movie on my list, which is Twister. Not a horror movie, blah, 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 whatever. But I feel like a tornado, a twister is like the perfect metaphor for the things in your life that are out of your control. We are going to go ahead and relate it to something recent for me, death, like, and cancer, I guess, in an abstract way. And through the majority of that situation, I kind of felt like those cows, spun around in the air, not having any control over where I'm going, just being at the mercy of the wind. But kind of also like the ending of As Above, So Below. It has a very like happy and cathartic ending, because even though twisters are something that are largely unpredictable and are extremely destructive, the team at the end of the movie, you know, they finally get Dorothy flying, and the movie ends with us knowing that they will learn some valuable information about these unpredictable storms that will end up helping a lot of people in the future. So I guess, again, kind of like reaching it, you know, it just kind of reminds me that even though there are things in my life that are out of my control, there are things I can do, like recognizing the things I can control and things I can change to help me deal with those situations, which are sometimes unavoidable. I feel like there's a theme here of me feeling like my life is out of control, because that's part of the reason why I turn to Battle Royale a lot, actually, for comfort. There's also kind of a catharsis in seeing the violence. I also want to throw You're Next into the mix. That was the next movie on my list here, because I feel a similar way about the violence in Battle Royale and in You're Next. I'm nervous to talk about these ones because I feel like it would just perpetuate that idea that violent movies make people violent, which is not the case. So I want to explain. So like I mentioned, I work in retail and I have a lot of stress involving family matters. I am aware that going around and hitting people or harming people is not the way to deal. I feel comforted in watching these violent situations is seeing the bad guy get their comeuppance. For example, in not being able to see that shithead customer who yelled at me for 10 minutes about an expired coupon get what's coming to them. I believe that the universe will give that negativity back to them ×3. That's what I believe. But sometimes I just want that instant gratification. So seeing the bad people in these movies, or the shitty characters in these movies, you know, get what's coming to them, there's a catharsis in that, in a very hyperbolized way for sure, but still. Other than those movies I just mentioned, those are kind of like the big comfort horror movies for me. I did want to quickly mention that there are just some like horror / creepy movies that I just like for the, you know, the vibes. They feel comforting and like cozy. Cozy is a great word to describe these. That's the comfort they bring to me, not necessarily in the subject matter of the movie, but just like the overall feeling. So movies like Trick or Treat, Sleepy Hollow, Beetlejuice, The Craft, Queen of the Damned, there's no deep meaning to why I find comfort in these movies. Sometimes I just put them on and let myself get into the world and, you know, the vibes, and that in and of itself is comforting to me, like when I'm feeling down. So, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, the Kickstarter campaign for the documentary Mental Health and Horror is live right now through July 23rd. There's a link at the very top of the description box for the Kickstarter page if you want to check it out, read more about it. I highly encourage you go and read the whole article, and then obviously you can see like any you know, perks you get for donating at a certain level. You know how Kickstarter works, you guys know. Also going to play a video in just a second of the director of the documentary, Jonathan Barkan, who's going to talk a little bit about the purpose of the movie.
My name is Jonathan Barkan, and I am the creator and director of Mental Health and Horror, a documentary. Horror is often shunned, and horror fans have long since been made to feel like there was something wrong with us for loving a genre that tries to be scary. But for many people, myself included, horror can be the medium for catharsis, representation, and even hope. With our film, we will explore the positive impacts that horror can have on those who live with and endure mental illness by hearing the personal impact horror has made on fans, those in the industry, and mental health professionals. We aim to make this documentary a reflection of the horror community, meaning it will include people of varying identity intersections. The horror community is vast, and this film will strive to reflect that. We hope that you will join us in supporting this project, which aims to help people around the world. Thank you.
So if this is a project that you'd like to support and you have the financial ability, maybe consider donating to the Kickstarter campaign if that's something you want to do. I definitely will be, and I will absolutely be in the comment section of this video. So please share your comfort horror movies in the comments so I can add to my list. Maybe I'll make a letterbox list of this. That's actually a good idea. I'm gonna do that. And then I'll add some of your guys' favorites to that list also. So I hope you enjoyed this video. It's a little bit different, kind of different from what I do. If you did, give it a thumbs up, subscribe. If you're new here, become a Creepy Peep today. I post 2 new videos a week, so I will see you very soon with a new video. Until then, stay strange. Bye.